Italian Wine Podcast. Chin Chin with Italian wine people.
Hello, welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This is Monty Waldin. Welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Daniele Proietti from the Abbia Nòva Winery in Lazio. For your group, it seems like it's a group of people with similar ideas. Do you have a sort of set of rules or standards between you, say for when you're doing work in the vineyard, you all try to work to similar goals in terms of environmentally friendly and biodiversity creating or preserving practices? Is that how you do it, or is everybody free to do what they want and use their own common sense?
I saw that there were no rules at first. The only rules were the basic rules making a natural viticulture, natural agriculture. At first, natural viticulture. So using few quantities of sulfur and copper and try to reduce them all over the year, trying to create auto defense by the plants. So this was our first rules, and then trying to do the best natural approach into the winery. So don't use yeast, don't add nothing, and only low quantities of sulfites when it needs. And this was the original rules without any document we wrote. But then I saw that everyone went to a kind of approach that is more agricultural in the sense of a vineyard. So everyone here in Piglio appellation, in Olevano appellation, which is the other important appellation of the Cesanese. I mean, for example, another winery that I forget before, which is Riccardi Reale in Olevano, is really good. They have a beautiful approach in the way they use to manage every single parcel, trying to create an ambient and an ecosystem into the vineyard. So planting seeds of other cultures, planting trees all around. So creating something all around the vineyard just to protect the vineyard and just to create an interaction between the vine and the other plants, also wild plants. And I saw that this was the way that everyone took personally without any document wrote, but everyone at first has to use at least sulfur and copper, only sulfur and copper, and try to reduce them, because we know that also copper, we need to work for a reduction of the copper, and then try to work without any adding substances in fermentation, only low quantities of sulfites.
So what you're trying to do is partly sort of a biodynamic idea where each individual plot has its own individual way of looking and being worked. And obviously the biodiversity in and around the vineyard is very important, that all of you or each of you has your own personal strategy that's not like a spreadsheet where everybody follows exactly the same rules. People are free to think how they want and act how they want. And the more they do that, the more diversity they have in the vineyard and the more complex or interesting the wines will be, even though they're from the same grape variety in the same region. You're just trying to create this diversity in a very natural way and let nature take more of a hand than human beings.
Yeah, but I have to tell you that we have been also so lucky from that point of view, because we are not born in a place where everything is covered only by a culture, only by vineyard. I mean, from this point of view, the Lango region, or Barolo region. So this place was kind of abandoned during the 50s because everyone wanted to leave the peasant life to get into the city, get in Rome, and try to work there in Rome. So my generation found a place with a lot of forests, with a lot of places where everything is with vineyard, is consociated with other cultures, and so we are very lucky from this point of view, because we are only trying to replace sustainability with yet existing agrosystem, but more wild than you can find in a domestic planting place. So when we plant, everyone here when plants a vineyard, uh, try to check the environment all around, try to respect it, because everyone knows that if the balance is not respected, the problem could be that the diseases into the vineyard are more and more and more a problem. I saw that in the last 10 years here, the downy mildew, the powdery mildew, decreased a lot, just because everyone tried to do this kind of job. Plant a vineyard, trying to check the environment, try to respect the wild plants, trying to respect the forest, try to respect the oak trees that we have all around. And this was a really good job. And I can say now that all those two appellations, the Olevano and Piglio d'Oc, the problem of diseases is not too high. And probably this is the result of our job.
I mean, when conventional growers listen to you or see your group or know about people in the group, are they do they think that you're idiots and living in the past, or do they think maybe this guy and this group has some good ideas? What reaction do they give?
It depends, because everyone in this subterranean group agrees with that. So everyone knows that if you have a vineyard with nothing else inside, is a problem for your plants. I can say that also other wineries, which are conventional, are trying to change. So it's not only a traditional way, it's also a future way, because it's a different kind to work on a scientific way. It's a kind to see the scientific method in what the scientific method lost when he accepted only chemicals or math tools to work in agriculture. So I saw that they don't consider us as idiot, because, as also you can see, we are in a continuous research. So we just don't want to tell dogmas all around. There are no dogmas. We are researching also because we are conscious of this thing. The fact that the agriculture is a regional fact, is a town fact. So you can apply a protocol to a place and think that if you apply that to another place, you have the same results. Is as the history of agriculture teaches us. If you remember, I see a lot of people that use horses now into the vineyards, but there are some places where horses can't be used because the soil is not useful for horses. Just the one where we live. Piglio is a place where the tradition is to use cows into the vineyards and not horses. So we don't, the fact that we are in a continuous research and we have no protocols is good, because the people who consider us not as prophets, but as people who's trying to do something new, which is really linked also to the tradition, because we also have to remember that we have 3 or 4 great agronomists from the Roman period that are a beautiful teacher for us, just like Varrone, Columella, and Catone. If you have a look and if you find the beautiful De Re Rustica, that translation in Italian is L'arte dell'agricoltura, or the art of agriculture by Columella, is an encyclopedia of a natural approach, a farm natural approach, and we are so lucky because the places where this book raised were the ones where we are now planting vineyards. So the Campagna Romana, the Roman landscape. So this book is really important for us because it's an ancient natural approach in our places. It happened about 2,000 years ago for about 300 years of experiments here in vines, olive oil trees, horticulture, cows and animals, and everything could mean a farm.
Yeah, interesting that you're going looking, but often it's the way when we lose our way going forward, we have to look backwards and see where we've gone wrong. and see where others have gone right. And as you say, some of these ancient texts are still very relevant today. Now, you have your own vineyard. Your family does, Abbia Nòva, is that correct?
Abbia Nòva.
Let's talk about the wines that you make. You make the wines under the Frusinate GP and the Piglio DOCG. You mentioned them, but let's just go through the wines one by one. So you make for white wine, you make a Passerina del Frusinate from Bellone, Passerina del Frusinate in Malvasia. How do you make that?
We make two different passerina. The first one is the Senza Vandalismi, which is a name we gave to the one just to mean that the vandalism is a term that means a brutal approach to things. So Senza Vandalism means that we have a light approach to things in agriculture and in winery. Our passerina, our Senza Vandalismi, so the entry-level passerina, is made from 40 years Tendone vineyard, planted in an important cru, in two crews we have, and is fermented with no skin contact, just to express the pureness of the wine grapes. So we decided to do that just to focus on the thin line of the grape taste. So he has to respect the grape taste without any adding of skin contact. And this is the concept that we had when we tried to do this wine. And the other Passerina is from a cru, and it's not from a Tendone, it's from an old vineyard of 90 years old, one of the first planted here in Piglio in the modern times. And for that vineyards, the grapes are really different, and the age of the vines led us to try to check what could we do with a skin maceration. And we checked all over the year that when you work with this kind of wine grape, Passerina and Bellone, you have to check right how many days you can leave the skin in contact with liquid, because if you leave them so much, the expression of the good flavor that you have when you taste the wine grape are not respected. So what we do is this for the other one, which name is San Giovanni and is from a cru. What we do is that every year when we taste the grape, we have in mind how many days the skin contact could respect the vintage. So we passed from 12 hours to 5 or 6 days of skin contacts, but not more. And this is our two white wines from Passerina, Bellone, and Malvasia del Lazio, which are the original wine grapes cultivated here.
So you make a rosato as well, the Frusinate EGT rosato called Berlame. What is that made from?
Berlame is made from the Cesanese da File, that is the most important we have, and a small percentage of another ancient wine grape that we found here in old vineyards with the other friends of the subterranean movement, which is called here Nostrano. But then genetic researchers told us that this wine grape is called Maiolica and is also cultivated in small old vineyards in south of Marche and north of Abruzzo. And this is because those lands are under the Vatican state. This is also why we cultivate Passerina and is also cultivated in south of Marche. Rosato, so the Rosato is made from the blend of 90% of Cesanese da File and 10% of Nostrano, of Maiolica. And it was my first idea of Cesanese. It means that after years and years of tasting a lot of Cesanese all around, when I started making my own production, I decided to also, as in the Passerina, to discover the skeleton, the thin line of the wine by making Rosato. So it was really the first and most important guide also in making our crus, our more aged wines. And he is 12 hours of skin contact, and then the liquid is left alone fermenting into cement vat. Then is racked and then is bottled up after 6 months after the harvest, just like the whites. the other two wines, the Senza Vandalismi and the San Giovanni.
So, and because you have these volcanic deposits, do your wines show a lot of salinity, that sort of savouriness?
More the Passerina and the Bellone than the Cesanese. I have to say that. I can say that the salinity is more in the white, more in the whites than in the red, and also in the rosé. But I think that is the salinity comes more from Nostrano in the Rosato than from Cesanese. The Cesanese has the peculiarity of give you fruit flavors and a kind of sweetness, even if it's not sweet. The Nostrano is more linked to salinity as the Passerina, but probably this is a genetical tree of the genetical tree of the wine grape, and also because you have to consider that this volcanic soil is made by clay, is not a sandy soil, so it's really hard to compare those wine to other volcanic places just like the Mount Etna. Probably you can find some similarity with, even if you compare it with the different wine grapes, with the Soave, the Soave areas, if you want to think about the red wines that could do in this place. And also you have to consider that Cesanese da File is a wine grape that could give you jute fruit wines or thin Burgundy wines. So it depends on how you work on it in the cellar. And this peculiarity is also good from my point of view, because that means a lot of differences in interpretation of the wine grapes between one producer to another in this place, in Piglio and in Olevan. So the answer is that salinity. I see salinity more in the whites than in the reds.
Interesting. What about the tannic? What in the reds? What about the tannic structure?
As rough and rude, but has this late tasting of sweet that if you leave not in oak but in different materials, just like jar, could give you uh, beautiful satisfaction after 2 or 3 years of aging in different materials. I can tell you that our tannins are not good for small oaks, for small barrels, but good for big barrels or for aging in jar or in cement.
Or amphora?
Small or big ones.
Is there any risk of oxidation with amphora? Because sometimes, because it's so porous, some grape varieties don't always react well. But I guess with a red, it's a little bit easier. Yeah.
Not so much, because we made a lot of mistake in the first years. We used the jar, the amphora, because we used small ones, and there were a lot of oxygen passing through the holes of the clay. And then we realized that the best ways was to buy bigger amphoras. Is the same thing as we talk about the barrels, small barrels and big barrels about the Cesanese. So if you use big bets of every material, is the best way to avoid oxidation and also to give your tannins the way to define their elegance.
Interesting. Well, I'll have to come down. I'm not too far away from you. I'm in Montalcino, so I'll have to come down and see you when we're allowed to.
The day you come, I'm trying to organize, a dinner with all the other producers. Just you have the chance to meet everyone, and you will see that everyone has this beautiful approach, but everyone is independent from this point of view, and this is good because, as I said before, this is a way to share information each other about what we are doing on our own.
Daniele Proietti, thanks very much from Abbia Nòva.
Nova is a dialectal term of Nova, and Abbia is the in dialect means via, the way. So Abbia Nova means the new way, and the Abbia Nova here in Piglio is the oldest street we have. So the oldest street is the new one from our point of view, and that's why we called it Abbia Nova. The new way is the oldest one.
Okay, Daniele Proietti from Abbia Nòva Winery in Lazio. Thanks very much for sharing your thoughts on natural wine growing and natural winemaking, and just details about your amphora and all the different things that you're doing and the group that you're trying to build. Very, very interesting from my perspective as someone that is into organics and biodynamics and all that sort of stuff. Really, really enjoyed listening to you today and look forward to meeting you face to face.
We're waiting for you.
Okay, it won't be long.
Ciao.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.